Hello there, ICS4C folks. Lesson 3.2 on modifying HTML elements. Our jQuery gets a little more complicated today. We start actually modifying and adding stuff to our web pages through our JavaScript file through our jQuery command. So you've got a um, word processing document open here somewhere. Probably doesn't need to be Smart Notebook, but that's what I always like using, but that's up to you. I don't have any specific code. You can, I think I'll use JSBin to add to show you what we're talking about here um, as we go, and I'm hoping this won't be too long of a lesson. This roughly goes with the third jQuery lesson, I believe, which I think is called Modifying HTML Elements. So if you haven't got that far in the Code Academy, you might want to stop and do that first. Or if you do this lesson first, the Code Academy should go faster. Either way. So here we go. Note, remember from the Code Academy lessons that variables that use jQuery can be anything, but usually a name that begins with a $ indicates we are using jQuery. So an example structure, here we go, where we have var $var name equals blah 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 blah. So in JavaScript rather, here's some JavaScript. If I wanted to, I could start something with a $. Hello equals 17, and that's just going to be a variable called 17. I can console.log it $hello. That all works fine. Right? I run that, and it's going to write my 17. So the $ is normal $hello is just a normal JavaScript variable name, but it's confusing if you're not using it as a jQuery command. So back in our lesson here, it says var name. This could be anything we wanted it. We could call it just hello if we wanted to. But as soon as we start doing jQuery stuff, it makes sense to have that $. That is only style, as it says down here. This var name can be anything, but the $ says jQuery is going to happen. And remember, the $ and the brackets means that we will be using jQuery. Whatever goes in here is whatever HTML tag we want to act upon, like a P or a div or whatever. And the action or effect, the dot action or effect, remember this part right here is kind of like the jQuery selector, they called it. It's an object, and then this is going to be a method that acts on it. And because it's a method, it's a function of some sort, an action or effect like click or mouse over or slide down or whatever this is, it's a function. And then sometimes it has parameters and sometimes not. Sometimes it's a function, sometimes it's blank, right? And what do I mean here? Well, back to JS bin, I'm going to add my HTML and my CSS there as well. So right now, and I'm going to click off the console and on the output so I can actually see something here. So I'm going to add in my body, I'm going to add a P element. Oops. Paragraph that says hello there. Right? And so over here, if I wanted to actually do something, then I would have to refer to whatever. I'm just going to get rid of that console log. Whatever element, that's my HTML element, and this is my action. Okay, and what's it going to do if I run it? Notice that it didn't hide it. It's because it's assign that to that variable. Usually what we do, remember, is wrap it in our jQuery command, ready. When the document is ready, we're going to have a function that does something. And the function that does something is this. Oops. And this is kind of normal jQuery stuff. Now, that ends the comment that, so I know where I am. I'm ended that ready thing there. And so now if I run it, it's not doing anything again because it's assigning this to a variable. That's all it's doing. It's not actually hiding it. Remember, if I need some event, to hide it. That's what I would do. Like if I had some other thing that said click and then hide it, that would work. All right. But the point here is that I can assign that event to any old JavaScript variable name. This doesn't have to be a $sign. I could call it just hello. I could call it whatever I'd like, but usually I use a $sign to show that jQuery stuff's going on. Great. So that's the general setup of a jQuery assignment. This is some sort of assignment. Now let's see it in actual real world work. So here, what do I have? I have var $P, and remember this part can be anything. I'll use my hello there. But what have I done is I'm acting on the HTML tag body, and my effect, and this is a new one, is called append. So let me go back to my JS bin and show you how that works. So I'm going to use hello still, and I'm going to put it on the body, and I'm going to append some more HTML. I'm going to add an HTML paragraph that says, because it already says hello there in my HTML as it exists, but I'm going to add another thing just to make it clever. Goodbye here. And that tag. And so now it says when this is ready, it's going to append that to the body. And let's see if that works. Now it doesn't look like it's going to work, except for that's because this event is just being assigned to this. Or it could be that maybe it doesn't know what jQuery is. So let's add that library, and maybe it's going to do something now. Yeah, there it did. It didn't know what jQuery was because I didn't have my jQuery script line in there. And so that works now. And in fact, starts off with just the one, and then it adds that extra line. And notice if I wanted to change that into a heading, I could change it into a heading if I wanted to, and so on. Right? That's a heading now. Back to the note, make sure we got that in there. This command adds that HTML code at the end of the body of your HTML page. And this is pretty weird. Why is it cool? Well, it's pretty cool because the user, depending on what they do and how they do it, their actions can change the contents of the web page itself. Up until this point, all the way through grade 11 and up until this point, it's felt very static about what our web page is. We can add whatever comments or stuff that we would like to. We could add a picture dynamically if we wanted to, right? If we added, instead of a paragraph, we added an image, we could do that. We could do that. Remember, there are lots of jQuery effects and actions. So instead of append, we could have, hide and show and fade to and all these other things going on. A few examples. So here's some more stuff from the Code Academy lesson. We saw append, which was new, this Code Academy lesson. The idea of prepend. So if I want to prepend, that means at the start of this, at the start of the body. And notice that this tag here could be anything. It could be a div, it could be a p, In fact, that might be an interesting experiment, is to say, um, in my JS bin, what happens if I went var whatever equals p, and I'm going to prepend, which means add, but at the start, and I'm going to add, let's add, say, a h2. Add an h2. And remember, that's got to be in quotes, otherwise it's not going to be known to be HTML. And I'm just going to put in the little comment, what? And that's going to be an h2. But it could be anything, right? It could be an image, could be a link, it could be a paragraph, it could be a table, it could be whatever. And what's this going to do? Well, I think it's going to find all the P's and then put what right before it. Right? So it did. Now I wonder what would happen if I change this to a P, because the first thing it's going to do is add this goodbye here as a P, and then if it finds it, is it going to add it twice or once? Yes, this added it to every single P it found. The hello there was from the original HTML. The goodbye here was from this statement. And then this statement added the line what before both of them. Well, how is that any good? Well, it gives us a lot of control of the way our web page looks like. Who knows? This is a silly example, of course, but once we get into some assignments, there's probably all sorts of things that we could do. Back to the note. I think that's it. Is it? Oh, no, there's a couple more. So this one, it says var p. After p, it's going to add, this is how we add a link. Now, I'm just going to copy that. Be careful, as it says, watch the quotes. Watch the quotes here. And this is going to add, I think, a link to every single P after every single P. But just let's find out. What's the difference between append and after as the effect? Certainly we can see that's the object. It's going to affect all the P's. So it found this P and put a link after. It found this P and put a link after. And both of those are links to tsn.ca. That was the href, and it just said click here. And those links will work if we wanted them to. And that will add it to all of the, after all of the P's. Well, that's pretty cool. I can add links. I could add pictures too. It says watch the quotes, and I want to mention that here. So in my JavaScript, in my jQuery command, if I were to have this as quotes, because I know in my HTML that has to be in quotes, just like over here it's in quotes. But if I were to use this as the start quote, then it would think it's the end of this tag. And so I have to match up my quote styles. So in my link, I've got single quotes. In my jQuery, I've got double quotes. So that's the HTML command that's going to be added after the P. Okay? If you can't quite see what that means, make sure you ask. And don't be afraid to play around with this in JS Bin. It's pretty fun. What else have we got left? I think I might have one more little comment to make. I can remove stuff. So once I'm adding all this stuff, it'll get pretty crowded. So I can start removing stuff. So this comment will remove all the HTML elements from the DOM, which remember is kind of like the big web page, the web page that includes our HTML, our CSS, and our JavaScript. So let me see this in JS Bin if it works. Do I have any H2s first of all? Yes, I do. Now I have a warning. What's my warning? It says, it's saying, hey, you goofball, you used $P up here. Well, let's call it $. Well, and I'm going to show you that it doesn't matter what we call this. Doesn't matter. It's just a variable name. Usually we use a $to show that we're doing jQuery stuff, but now let's see. This is what it looked like before I ran it. And the H2s are the whats. And I bet you it'll go so fast, add something, and then remove something that I won't even tell that the whats are up. Let's just see. Yeah, see, I never knew the whats were up there at all. But you can add, think of combining the effects that we're learning today with the effects that we learned yesterday about clicking on something or mousing over something and then removing. And remember, we can embed one command inside another command if I wanted to, right? When I click on this, then I want to do that. And all our homework exercises will have a little bit of practice doing that stuff. 15 minutes. I'm going to stop here and start in a hopefully a shorter part two.